My mother loved handwritten letters. She was desperate. Need you. Help. I discovered the Maria letters. She was sending money in the mail. When I took her checkbook away, she started stuffing real money into the envelopes. Who is Maria Duval? Why is she getting rich off of these people?
This is a scam with 1.4 million victims.
This was the biggest mail fraud in history behind the lens of a psychic.
He felt the work that he was doing was genuinely helping people.
To the tune of $225 million, $40 at a time.
My mother fell victim to this horrible scam. Have you ever heard of Patrice Runner?
Hi, Patrice. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect. I got your letter yesterday evening.
Oh.
First surprised and then moved by it because was unexpected and I was intrigued by the fact that it was handwritten.
Oh, yes.
It's unusual today to receive, especially from a professional letter that's handwritten. That was done on purpose to intrigue me.
I'm Rachel Brown, and I'm an investigative journalist. I came across a press release from the United States Department of Justice, and I saw that a Canadian man had been arrested and extradited to the United States from Spain. As someone who's interested in crime, in systems of belief, and just the harshness of the American justice system, I was immediately hooked. I'd also seen a photo of Patrice Runner in the Daily Mail, and it's this man with sunglasses on top of his head with this spiky hair sitting on a beach in Ibiza, and I just knew that there was more to the story. I have been following this case for a while.
This call is from a federal prison.
I was the first journalist to interview Patrice Runner, and we just started talking over email and over the phone, and I also went to visit him a few times in prison.
I shouldn't even be here, actually.
I knew that whatever Patrice was being accused of doing, he had the ability to evade law enforcement for almost 20 years.
I'm pretty enthusiastic that you contacted me so that I have someone who's gonna present another perspective, my perspective.
Yes.
I have a lot of stuff to share. A lot.
My name is Chris Bennett. I'm a full-time psychic medium and tarot reader. So this reading is for Patrice Runner, and we'll just see where he may find himself after jail. So this card is for Patrice's recent past, present, and potential future. A psychic is somebody who can read into a person's life. So it is possible to deliver psychic messages through the mail. Would I do it? Absolutely not. Most people come to me looking for guidance on love or to help them overcome something. You want to connect with that person who's a conduit for something much greater than yourself, to feel like you're speaking with a real friend. When I was 15 years old, Dionne Warwick had that song, That's What Friends Are For, and it was integrated into the Psychic Friends network to get people to feel connected.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. You know, it's really great to be hosting this brand new edition of Psychic Friends Network.
In the 90s, psychics were sensationalized. They were in your face, they were loud, they were usually late at night.
If you've never had a reading from a real psychic, try us right now for free.
Or during daytime TV.
Please welcome Sylvia Brown to the show!
And they were showcased in a way that was made to be exciting.
You go, girl.
People were hungry for spiritual advice and answers to life's big questions. Ads for psychic services were everywhere. They were on the radio, TV, newspaper.
Seems when I have major things in my life that I want to do, I always consult a psychic.
So while the psychic industry is booming in North America, it's also having a moment in Europe, too.
Et puis, on voit que Neptune est très bien posé, trigone avec le soleil.
Maria Duval was seen on television providing astrology readings or using tarot cards. I believe she was a real psychic and a true clairvoyant.
Nous avons Vénus qui...
Maria Duval is this small-town psychic in the south of France who was really well known in Europe.
Quelque temps quand même qu'on n'avait pas regardé tout ça.
Il y a un an.
Oh oui, peut-être.
Maria Duval, la voyante la plus en vue de Paris.
Ouais, c'est incroyable, elle a été demandée un peu partout et... Je suis Antoine Palfroy, le fils de Maria Duval. On dit dans la famille qu'elle a hérité de ses talents de médium par un oncle qui était prêtre. Et après, les choses se sont développées lorsque elle avait retrouvé des gens qui étaient perdus.
Maria Duval, radiesthésiste de renom, vient d'arriver à Paris. Le but de son voyage, rechercher une jeune fille disparue.
From the 70s into the 80s and into the 90s, the mythology around her is that she found upwards of 19 missing people.
Je prends la photo dans mes mains et ensuite, avec le pendule, je me mets en disponibilité et je cherche la photo à la main et sur une carte.
Donc Maria Duval, c'est une femme qui pouvait paraître mystérieuse. Je m'appelle Solène Palfroy et je suis la petite fille de Maria Duval. Je pense qu'elle a été vraiment reconnue parce qu'elle a réussi à lier tout le travail qu'elle a réalisé sur l'astrologie avec un don de médiumnité qui lui a permis d'acquérir vraiment une intuition très très forte.
She had developed a brand, a reputation for predicting election outcomes, lucky lottery numbers, and she started being seen as someone who could be a psychic to powerful people.
Ma mère, elle avait fait le thème des conseillers, des adjoints. Il y a eu beaucoup de politiques qui sont venus la consulter et très vite, elle a eu beaucoup de succès et elle s'est fait connaître comme ça.
By the 1990s, Maria Duval had licensed her name to companies trading on her likeness, distributing letters across Europe that offered astrological readings by post. Readings Maria insisted in a video from the 1990s could be done via mail order.
Très fréquemment, on me demande comment ça se passe par correspondance. J'ai une très grande habitude, je sais lire à travers ce qu'on dit.
With the readings, she would send psychic forecasts and mystical trinkets from the elusive Maria Duval.
Our parents, they had a lot of very eccentric friends. We always heard about one of Dad's friends who was a psychic, and he told us all sorts of stories about like things that she had done. We always wanted to do a reading, but Maria didn't do readings for kids. My name is Dylan, and I am Patrice Runner's son. My parents lived in Montreal for 20 years. My brother and I were born in Montreal, and we moved to the west coast of Canada when we were very young. The Maria Duval stuff, my memory has always been that they had a good relationship, and he always spoke of her very fondly. The last time we saw Maria Duval, we were somewhere in the south of France.
During the early 90s, I knew Maria Duval was a huge success because I saw the ads running again and again in France in June 94 while I was on holidays on the French Riviera. And just like this, out of the blue, I called her up. And she said, yeah, I'd love to see you tomorrow. She gave me her address.
Dans ce second bureau, elle recevait surtout les gens un peu particuliers pour venir faire des consultations. Voilà.
We started to chat. She did the reading. I was not very familiar at that time with all that esoteric world. She's a bit like a Hollywood star, so she loves celebrity, she loves to be seen. And then she showed me her press book, and I was pretty impressed by that. That's wow, that's pretty astonishing.
Je pense que c'est là où il a vu le potentiel de ma mère. Et des fois, vous savez, comme on dit, on vous fait des propositions que vous ne pouvez pas refuser.
I charged with the legal contract with Marriott, and we'll set a deal together.
By the fall, Patrice is the license holder for Maria Duval in North America.
I offered to Maria 5% of the net sales made. Maria didn't make much with me during the first 2 years. She volume got about $100,000.
Elle était payée, je crois, mensuellement. C'était pas des grandes sommes qu'elle touchait. Hein.
Miami love traveling first class and going to the best hotels. And they say that the majority of her official revenue were diverted somewhere else.
Elle dit, bah oui, ça y est, maintenant je vais pouvoir un peu me reposer, prendre un peu de temps pour moi, j'ai vendu mon nom. Elle était très contente parce qu'elle s'était dit, c'est une société qui est sérieuse, qui va bien faire les choses.
Patrice truly believed in her psychic powers. When you're a kid, you see your parents as they're just our parents. And then as you grow older, you start to think about, like, what was their childhood like?
I come from a family of writers. My mother was a writer, so...
Oh, she was? What did your father do for work?
He's an economist. My parents divorced when I was 6 years old.
Our father cast off for Africa, abandoning his 4 young children. I had to grow up with a mother disinterested in work and money, living only on the meager alimony our father paid. Our mother was on the verge of financial collapse. I promised myself that when I grow up, I'll be rich.
Patrice's childhood really informed his obsession and anxiety around money, just as junk mail exploded in the 80s.
Since I was 15 years old, I was fascinated by reading mail order advertisements. And because my mother was a writer, I noticed the way it's written, it's actually very powerful. That person sending a check to a place they have no idea where it is.
Back in the 80s and 90s, mail order was a huge way that people did their shopping. You received a sales catalog from a company, and you could place an order by phone or mail, and then the item was sent directly to your mailbox or house.
I learned in books in a few months, copywriting and direct marketing in general. Then I started a mail order company.
Patrice Runner had 3 to 5 employees in an office building in downtown Montreal. With the Maria Duval mail order business, Patrice's company Infogest would place advertisements in newspapers and magazines across North America, asking people to send in money in exchange for astrological readings and psychic services.
In 1994, we launched a test and we saw that it was successful.
The first letter Patrice wrote had very convincing language, and it was signed by Maria, so the recipient believed it really was from Maria.
In this letter, you're going to discover why you've never had or had so little luck in your life.
Thousands of letters from Maria Duval began flooding mailboxes across Canada and across the United States, courtesy of Patrice Runner.
They didn't make any money during the first 2 years because all the profits and even more were constantly reinvested to grow the company cash flow.
The first thing I want to do for you is to do everything I can to have you win the sum of $25,000 immediately.
They would tout Maria's credentials, so all the mythology would help convince the recipient that this was a very impressive person.
There is a series of very important dates in your life that you must not miss for any reason if you truly wish for your life to change.
Hi, Maria. I truly want your help to change me and my way of life. I truly believe in you and the things you have told me.
People who engaged with the letters would become bombarded with dozens of letters asking them to send in money for more personalized services and items with promises that Maria Duval herself would be writing back.
Inside the envelope I have enclosed with my letter, there is a very special talisman which I wanted to offer you. Normally, I would never do this sort of thing.
What a pleasant surprise to hear from you again with not one but 2 special offers.
Maybe they would get a trinket, like some sort of charm or talisman, as they're called, that would bring them good luck, health, wealth, happiness.
I do want to be more comfortable and no more money worries. Thank you for helping me and being my friend.
Each letter could be 10 to 12 pages long, and this really establishes a relationship with Maria and a feeling that the recipient knows her. There were also questionnaires and coupons for them to interact with. So it was this pretty smart way of capturing an audience.
So don't delay for even a minute. and complete the special coupon that you are going to find on the next page. Then, return it to me
as soon as possible. And so you will be assured of not missing a single one of the positive events that await you and that I've just described to you. Act now. Your devoted friend, Maria Duval.
The letters were all signed from Maria Duval, but they were actually written by Patrice Runner. The question comes down to, were these letters false advertising or fraud?
My name is Clayton Gerber. I am a retired United States Postal Inspector. Postal inspectors investigate crimes like drugs in the mail, bombs in the mail, white powders in the mail. And then one of our biggest areas of investigation is white-collar fraud, using the mail to trick people, to deceive people, to continue a fraud scheme.
So we're in downtown Washington, D.C. We're heading to my former Postal Service office, which is where the property from Patrice Runner's held. 30 of these carts is probably the largest quantity we have for a single case. So we have, I think, 6 carts here that are just return envelopes from victims.
Patrice wrote these letters. There's a printing shop in Montreal. The printing house has the labor of printing, stuffing, putting stamps on the envelopes. And then you need list brokers that provide names of consumers he was targeting. And they drive a truckload of envelopes across the border, go to Albany, New York, and introduce it to the United States Post Office. They do it once a week. If you got a letter from Maria in your mailbox to you and you alone, you had no idea there was this guy, Patrice Runner, who's pulling the strings, clicking the keys. It was just a massive mail merge operation to suck money out of you.
So this is an example of some of the trinkets, the magic talismans. They would come in some sort of little velveteen bag, red bags, black bags, gold bags. So this is some sort of a, I don't know, little wheel. It's like A Christmas Story, your secret decoder. I'm sure that the story that Patrice came up with keys with some of these symbols, and this would be some sort of magical talisman.
Mr. Runner, through Maria Duval, was promising good fortune was going to come your way. Or she could foresee that something bad was going to happen to you, have you do some ritual event that would prevent that bad fortune from coming.
I think this is some sort of spice blend or some sort of, some sort of incense. It smells terrible, and it makes a mess. It's magical. See? It's magical. It's the most sacred holy candle of sacred holy candles.
I'm not a religious person at all, but I've spent so many hours in my life reading on cosmology, quantum physics, and biochemistry that I see God everywhere, as our world is so incredibly complex.
He used every imaginable religion, Judaism and Christianity and Hinduism and Buddhism. He'd co-opt every single one of their rituals, their artifacts, mislabel them, misbrand them.
Ma mère était catholique, bien entendu, mais elle était très très proche de la doctrine bouddhiste, parce qu'elle aimait les Bouddhas, voilà, de par ses voyages qu'elle avait fait en Thaïlande et en Inde.
So in Patrice's story is that Maria personally went to India and collected this statue of the goddess Lakshmi to send to you and you alone.
But what you got was some mass-produced piece of junk from China, and sometimes they didn't peel the Made from China label off of them. Patrice was very good at this. He was very good at writing copy.
My dear Barbara, I'm really sorry to spring this on you without notice, but yesterday morning I felt a force that was very clear. So I took very urgent action upon your case.
He focused on the illusion. He focused on the story. It's like curling up with a good book. It would trigger, an emotional response in people.
My name is Christine Stevens. I'm connected to the whole Maria Duval thing via my mother, Doreen Robinson, who fell victim to this really horrible scam. So this is my mom, Doreen, way back in the 80s. Mom always wore red lipstick. She was a very good seamstress. My mother was a very independent, creative woman. She managed the family finances. She was manager at H&R Block Tax for a number of years. So yeah, she would even do our income tax for us. Seeing my mom decline, at first, it wasn't really noticeable. Then it got concerning. She forgot how to drive. She forgot to pay bills. I took her to the doctor. They did a dementia test, and she's trying to dissect a circle into 4, I believe. And she's looking to me for the answer. And I couldn't give her the answer. It was very sad. I first discovered the Maria Duval letters, and I thought nothing of it until I was looking into my mom's finances. And I found checks that had been made out, always for $49, either to Maria Duval or Destiny Research Center. When I asked Mom, what are you buying for $49 each time? She got very defensive. Worst of all, she got secretive. I came across a little velveteen pouch, and inside the pouch was something kind of heavy, and I shook it out to my hand. And, so, Mom, what's this? She grabbed this trinket, held it to her chest, and she said, it's very special. And then she popped it back in, tied it up, and she put it in her jewel box. But it's just a coaster, I suppose. Absolute garbage that I wouldn't pay 25 cents in a bubble machine for. I could not fathom how much of a draw were these Maria Duval letters. My mom spent $49 a pop, sometimes sending checks 3 times a day because she'd forget that she wrote a check. And then when I took her checkbook away, she started stuffing real money into the envelopes. It was almost addictive.
What people had was companionship. And for them, that $40 was just sort of the token cost. And the cycle repeated as long as you were going to play.
Largely, these were people in their 70s and 80s. A lot of them were struggling with health issues, things like Alzheimer's and dementia.
Patrice absolutely positively wanted older victims. We have email after email where he's telling his employees, no, I want a list of old people.
Dear Maria, $50 isn't a lot of money, but when you don't have it, it is.
A lot of older people can't afford to pay a $40 payment every month to somebody like Maria Duval and pay your rent and pay your utilities and pay for your medication.
I need you to understand, I can't keep this up. If I do, I'll be living on the street, so I truly hope this works.
Look, Patrice had no brake pedal. He had no hesitation to victimize people. This is his life's work. How much and how fast and how much more money can I make?
This is me. We were caught in a rainstorm. I think this is when we were living in Costa Rica.
Because in winter it's always rainy and depressing. We decided, okay, let's go there for just for next fall.
They were the only people, at least that I knew at the time as a kid, that were working from home, which was great for us.
I mean, if money is no object, you can do these sorts of things, I guess, and just communicate by email. But the most common email that his employees were getting is, I need more money.
So as time went on, people started receiving these green envelopes in the mail that requested that they fill them with personal items like hair, photographs that would be sent directly to Maria herself, and she's going to look at them personally to deepen and make her psychic services that much more personal.
Patrice had to constantly escalate these letters and the representations and the rituals to get you to pay more money.
Sometimes the letters would threaten things like bad luck is going to wreak havoc on your life. They would put a deadline on it, and it was a way to frighten people into responding and giving money.
If you wrote in and paid by check and your check bounced, you got a collection letter. They had a whole mechanism that would send collection letters and a fictitious court filing as if they were going to sue you in court.
Et je sais qu'une fois, elle me disait qu'elle n'était pas contente du tout de ces lettres, qu'elle avait appris ça et que ça la mettait vraiment très en colère. Son nom ne lui appartenait plus, quoi. À moins de racheter son nom, elle ne pouvait plus rien faire, quoi.
When did you first move to Europe?
I moved to Europe in 2007, a small village in Switzerland.
Our parents split around 2011, and by 2015, he was remarried.
I broke up with my first wife, and I met the year after. My second wife. What was the problem? But then in the same village, so with my second family, we were like nomads, living in half time in Switzerland and half time in Paris.
He was living like a king. He gets to be an absentee owner. His bills got paid first with an unlimited funding stream. Millions of people would make payments. Pretty soon it's 4 or 5 years later and you've made 150 payments. At some point in time, they'd either run out of money or they wouldn't believe it or the good fortune wouldn't come their way and they would eventually get tired of this and become dissatisfied.
That prompted a lot of people who felt like they'd been defrauded by these letters, especially in the early 2000s, to go online and see if there were other people out there like them. These online forums started popping up where people would air out their grievances about the Duval letters and that they believed that they had been scammed. Hundreds upon hundreds of people started connecting on these online chat rooms and forums to talk about these letters. What is going on here?
Initially, I had gone to the police, and the police had told me pretty much, sorry, buyer beware.
Police are not going to investigate a $40 crime. You go into the police station, there's no one who's going to run out, turn on their lights and sirens, and go try to solve this crime.
I started banging away on the computer and looking things up, and there's all these other victims out there. The exact same complaints. I want my $49 refunded. I didn't get my lucky lottery numbers. All over the world. And that's only the ones that do complain. This is big. Who is Maria Duval? Why is she getting rich off of these people? Who is she?
So really the last time that Maria was seen in public giving media appearances was to a Belgian reporter who conducted an interview in Paris where she talks about her satisfied customers and how long she's been a psychic.
Je suis très contente de moi. Ça fait 50 ans que je travaille. Ça fait 50 ans que nous avons la plupart des témoignages de satisfaction. Oui, j'estime que je suis un ange. J'ai dédié ma vie à aider les autres.
Because of the many complaints about the Maria Duval letters, investigative reporters traveled to Calas, France to look for Maria Duval, and they got to interview Maria herself, and Maria claimed to be innocent.
La chose la plus importante qui soit pour moi, c'est de savoir que tout ce que j'ai fait, je l'ai fait avec amour.
Et c'est vraiment quand CNN est venu que là, on a commencé à se rendre compte que c'était peut-être une très grosse affaire, beaucoup plus que ce qu'on imaginait. Et à cette période-là, elle était très malade, donc c'était très difficile parce qu'elle ne s'en rendait pas vraiment compte.
There was this nagging storyline that Maria received some compensation and payment. Early on, maybe it stopped, maybe it continued, that she maybe saw these solicitations. And so postal inspectors flew over and executed a search warrant of her house.
From 2001, Maria got a worldwide deal. 300,000 euros per year, plus all kinds of jewelry, perks. She was very well paid. She loved money.
Il y avait la perquisition à la demande des policiers fédéraux de la Poste. Ma mère avait très peur. Et bien entendu, lorsqu'ils sont repartis avec rien, quoi.
There was no piles of trinkets. There were no letters from tens of thousands of people. She was there. She, however, was suffering from some degree of cognitive decline.
Her son had to kind of step in and tell the police and make it known as well that she was suffering from dementia.
Arrivé même plus, je me souviens à une époque, à déterminer les signes du zodiaque. Une femme comme elle se retrouvait à plus des fois savoir faire les choses. Ça a été très très dur.
I managed a team of postal inspectors that investigated white-collar fraud cases. In the course of our investigations, practically 10 years earlier, we had already looked at this scheme, tried to shut it down. That administrative action named Patrice Runner as an operator. What happened is Patrice formed a new business. Then he fires up and he's back up and running. In fact, the volume of mailing increased.
These are the victim payment envelopes.
Most of the payment envelopes would go to a caging service. The caging service is the company that would collect all these payment envelopes in the mail. They would slice them open, they'd pull the cash out, they'd do the data entry, they'd record your payment. Payment checks would get sent to Vancouver, Canada for processing. And then the money would get distributed to Patrice's employees at Infogest and to Patrice wherever he was around the globe. So we see where the mail's going. We find out it's going to this caging service on Long Island, and we go out there in the middle of the night and we pull the trash.
This whole box is items collected from the dumpster on one night.
7,000 envelopes. So that was 1 week's worth of trash. The trash told everything. I mean, this is a mass mailing case is a paper-driven case.
Here's a quantity of the green envelopes. So each one of these envelopes has hair in it.
Patrice is sending out letters saying, I, Maria, am going to open this envelope and I'm going to touch your hair and I'm going to have a premonition about you and I'm going to send you the results of that. She wasn't doing the things that were being represented in the letters. If that's what they had done, we wouldn't have had an investigation.
That's the moment the U.S. Postal Inspection Service realizes this is fraud.
I'm not involved in any fraud. There's no intention of fraud. And I think the only fraud there in that case is a fraud from the DOJ, the Department of Justice. It's a big scam against me.
They trace the operation back to Montreal, back to Infogest.
We executed search warrants. We collected evidence. That's when we see that Patrice is there in the background, calling the shots, running the show.
So for around 15 years, on and off, various law enforcement agencies in the U.S. had Patrice in their sights, but he was never brought to justice. Patrice was globe-trotting, and he was living in various places all around the world. It was kind of this cat and mouse, catch me if you can situation going on.
Savez-vous, it was 2015. It happened 3 blocks from where we had our apartment. And then it was like a war zone, Paris. And I cannot stay. Oui, ça vient à votre pain.
Postal inspectors filed an injunction against the Montreal-based company that they could not operate. We reached out to the employees in Montreal. They were no longer getting their big paychecks, and they agreed to plead guilty. And there was no way out for them.
Patrice's associates turn on Patrice. And they indicted Patrice on 18 counts of mail fraud, money laundering, wire fraud, all sorts of financial crimes in the United States.
Maria made between $10 to $15 million over almost 30 years. Yes, I made a lot of money with the Duval letters. Millions of dollars over those 20 years. All the numbers were exaggerated because the media knows that many people don't really understand the difference between gross and net profits. So the media likes that people think we bought the $200 million. We made not even 10% of that.
We shut this scheme down in 2014, and that's when we froze those bank accounts. By 2020, he was virtually penniless. We learned he was in Ibiza, so we sent notice through Interpol. It was called a red notice saying, we have criminal charges against this person. Please arrest him for us.
What's wrong to operate a business that was in a gray zone? My case was a classic misleading advertising case. It should have remained civil and not a criminal case.
He had broken up with his wife, and he was living in a hotel.
I suffer from a borderline personality disorder following my separation from my spouse. smoking 80 cigarettes a day, one after the other, consuming large quantities of ketamine to anesthetize my emotional distress.
Thanksgiving 2020, I get a call saying, Spain has picked up Mr. Runner. They have ordered him extradited.
The height of COVID, there's no vaccine. Clayton goes over himself, gets Patrice on a plane, brings him back.
From the moment we arrested him, he didn't want to talk to us.
Advertising people are not angels who are paid to lie and to deceive people, but it doesn't make me a criminal. I was put in a unit with half of the unit were gang members. There was the blood and the grip and stabbing all the time. People get killed. It was a pretty traumatic experience as a Canadian person.
The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, or MDC as it's called, was a massive departure from the kind of high life, the luxury life that he'd been living for many, many years. He was being subjected to harsh conditions, and he was having a really hard time accepting it.
Doing everything they can to make my life difficult and to keep me detained for as long as possible, to break me mentally. I can tell you that we're going to trial.
At trial, it really came down to a question of whether or not we have a right to buy into things that have inherent deceit in them. Things like psychic services, things like WWE. We buy tickets to things like Disney World, and we know that Mickey Mouse is not actually Mickey Mouse. Both sides agree that deceit in and of itself, in this case, is not a crime. But the argument is over whether or not this is a type of fraud.
How did you feel about the witnesses at this trial?
The worst of the worst you can find, that they picked. She said that all the products were plastic trinkets that was 2 cents, the same you find in a bubblegum machine. She said that in court. It was that cheap. Why did you buy 24 of them?
Patrice's defense is like, everybody got what they expected. The problem is, every single person we put on the stand said, I expected good fortune. I didn't expect this piece of junk from China. It was your classic bait and switch. He wasn't targeting reasonable consumers. He was targeting the elderly and those suffering from some degree of cognitive decline.
The verdict in Patrice Runner's case came down just 10 days after the trial started, and he was found guilty on 14 counts, including money laundering and wire fraud, and he was found not guilty on 4 counts.
Before sentencing, Patrice writes this letter. I don't think his attorneys knew this was happening, and he sent it to the judge. This was bizarre.
It was almost like a copy and paste of a Maria Duvall type letter. It looked very similar. It had quotes from all these different authors, like Dostoevsky's, in this big font.
Crime and Punishment, a novel about remorse and the crimes of a young student that he found justified before he committed them.
It was written as if he was trying to sell the judge on this idea that he should be let off easy, that she should take pity on him.
Talking about his childhood, his upbringing, how he got to where he is in life, how he was going to become a success.
He said that he has all these great business ideas that are going to help make the world a better place.
And we were like, why would you possibly ever write this letter? White-collar fraud case like this in the United States really wouldn't get much criminal time. Patrice had been in prison now for about 5 years, and the judge sentenced him to 10 years in prison. So he's got 5 more. I don't know if he recognizes sort of his mistake. He can't help himself. He's an inveterate fraudster who, at his core, believes he can talk his way out of everything.
My brother sent me a text, and the message read 10 years. When that came out, I was more thinking of, like, how old am I going to be when he comes out? I'm not a legal expert, but I do think 10 years for a white-collar crime is a lot. When I hear about other people, violent crimes that get off on, like, 3 or 4. It's crazy also that he was detained in NBC for over 3 years, pending trial. That is 3 entire years of somebody's life. You get up and you go outside and you go look at the mountains and you go do any sort of activity that a free person can do. And then you're just hit with the thought of, what is he doing right now?
We're not trafficking kilos of drugs. Why the Department of Justice didn't prosecute the U.S. Postal Service for conspiracy or fraud? It was our largest supplier that made the most money out of the Giselle operation. Interesting paradox, no?
Mr. Runner victimized 1 out of every 300 men, women, and children in North America. Investigating this, walking through the payment processor, list brokers, data brokers, we have identified scores of other mailers that were doing these same schemes, and we have charged all of them as well. We settled with Epsilon Data Management, which was one of the data brokers in this case, and they established a fund so that everyone that we could locate, we returned their money to them.
J'ose pas dire victime par rapport aux victimes qui ont été créées par rapport à ces courriers, et très entaché de tous ces courriers, de tout ce que les gens ont pu faire en son nom.
Je sais pas grand-chose sur Patrice Runner. Je me suis dit d'un côté, tant mieux s'ils arrivent à arrêter des personnes qui sont à l'origine de ce système. Et après, d'un autre, je me suis dit, je pense pas que ce soit le seul à avoir monté tout ça.
A goat, not the kind of goat like the greatest of all time scam writer, as some have written about me. I'm another breed of goat. I'm a scapegoat. I'm the scapegoat of a $2 billion a year industry. I'm the only one who landed behind bars.
So this reading is for Patrice Runner, where he may find himself after jail. For Patrice's potential near future, we have the reversed 3 of Swords. This is about making sense of the past, and it seems like he may choose healing.
I use my intelligence to take advantage of people who are less able than me. And for that, I have remorse.
So there are 3 things that anyone can look out for to spot a psychic scammer. First of all, they'll offer you guaranteed results. No psychic on earth can offer you a guaranteed result on anything. The second is they'll usually speak about curses or negative energy that only they can remove for a price. And third, they're going to ask you to continue paying for services well and truly beyond the original service that you may have booked for. Those are the 3 red flags that you need to look for as a consumer.
I'm a senior now. We used to trust everybody in the neighborhood. You can't do that anymore because people can become victims through no fault of their own. Now, with the technology that we have, it's even more frightening.
Our lives have changed so much in the last 4 or 5 years. I hope that he can return to his other kids and be able to be there for them as he was with us.
I'm like you, I'm a writer too, so that's what I do here all day long. Oh, wow. I write, I read. Yeah, I work on my new, on a few projects that I'm going to launch when I'm out of here.